Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
The Guardians going through their growing pains. They lose in Game 5, 5 games to the Yankees, who can't hit the broadside of a barn now, which is kind of fun to see. Unfortunately, it's against the Astros. 41 strikeouts in 3 games, but the Yankees did get the better of us. They win their home game 5-1 in Game 5. Guardians go home, but not a lot. It's okay to feel disappointed by it, but there's also people need to understand, like, feel the hope, feel the energy. Nothing's ever guaranteed, but this young team has some years now to really try to do something and learn from losing in the playoffs.
Oh, totally. I mean, one, they weren't even supposed to win the division, yet they did that, so they overseeded there. And I was just hoping they'd win their first series, which they did. But taking New York to Game 5 and going to New York in a Game 5 situation is just invaluable experience that it's going to be amazing for those young kids coming up. And I cannot wait to see what they do next year. I'm going to always say that I hope they spend money in the offseason, and maybe with this new minority owner they will, and that they see that we have a young squad. It just needs maybe a veteran hitter, and we'll see what Austin Hedges does in the offseason. He's a free agent, so future is unbelievably bright for that baseball team, man.
And audio, one of your favorite sports, of course, when we really get in these conversations is baseball. We talk a lot of Buckeyes, we talk a lot of baseball, and to see the Guardians do what they did this year, not expected to win the division, like Jay said. They do win the division. They win it going away, win that wild card series. They push the Yankees, who a big discrepancy in payroll. You have to feel, of course, you always hate it when your team loses, but you have to feel that sense of pride and excitement for what is to come, or what they can be moving forward.
Oh, definitely. I mean, here's the thing is, I thought they were going to do well this year. And
yes. You like to tell us that every time.
like to tell you that I don't know if I mentioned it on this show, but on the BetJack training camp app, they should sponsor us, by the way. I do the
Can you work on that for us?
Yeah, right. I do the they have the tokens you can bet.
Yeah.
And back in, I believe it was July, I put some BetJack tokens that the Guardians would win the Central. So that cashed out for me. That's about one of the only bets I've done on the app that's cashed out for me, because I am terrible at betting. But I had faith that, I thought this is a young team. I thought they were going to do well. I was disappointed that they fell to the Stankies. I hate them with a passion. And one of my greatest joys, I think, in life is when we beat them in the playoffs, because it's so nice to send them home.
Yeah.
So the fact, it was such an exciting time, that Sunday night game here in Cleveland. It was just a shame that they couldn't bring it in, and it hurt. But I'm looking forward to next year. The nice thing is, this is not a team where we have a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts that we brought in to try and win it all this year. This is a young team.
Mm-hmm.
Francona says he's going to be back again next year. Godspeed. I hope his health, stays well. Everything's good there, because he is a hell of a manager. We are fortunate to have him. It's an exciting team. I'm looking forward to next year already. I don't see, I will be disappointed if we don't go farther next year, because now I really expect it, because I've seen what this team can do.
Yeah, and we all know what happens when the Guardians do things where we don't expect them to do that, like what the next year looks like. And
right.
the not just us, but the national pundits with their high expectations. And you go to the Sports Illustrateds of the world, you go to Bleacher Report, all of their baseball experts, when they're picking who they think is going to win the World Series. After a year like this year, you might see Cleveland's name mentioned in that. And yeah, it'll be disappointing if they don't go further, because when you one of our friends of the show, Emmett Golden, always says you gotta go to the dance and lose before you can go to the dance and win. And I think this year, feeling that Game 5 loss, as much as it sucked, and we can talk about conspiracy theories with the Yankees kind of getting Game 5 pushed back a day, all of these other things, whatever. They lost. The Yankees moved on. They earned it. They're kind of getting their own dose of that medicine now, because they're complaining about a roof not being open in Houston, and then you come home to your ballpark that already has an open roof that you're used to, and you're still striking out 11 times in a game. You did 30 times in Houston, averaging 15 a game. Then you come home and you strike out 11 times, you go down 3-0. Shout out to the Philadelphia Phillies, who made it in the World Series. They beat the San Diego Padres in 5 games today. I think that the Yankees-Astros Game 4 is in a delay. But the Guardians, it's going to be based on injuries or, all of these other factors. Baseball is such a long year. And that's one of those sports where, hey, if they don't start the best, just like in basketball, if you don't start the best, it's a long season. You want your team to maybe not necessarily struggle mightily, but you want them to kind of go through those growing pains early so that they're at their best late. That's what this Guardians team kind of did. They shined early, but there were growing pains. They would go up about 8 or 10 games above 500, then they would drop back down, maybe even under 500. This young team started to learn, and then by the time September came around, they absolutely destroyed the Twins. They destroyed the White Sox and won their division.
The crumbling White Sox.
Yeah, Elvis Andrus. Stupid Elvis Andrus.
I love that. I just really enjoyed that.
I know.
As soon as you said that, it was the opposite of what he said was going to happen.
I already went on my rant. So, Elvis Andrus is long gone in the rear view mirror. But, again, injuries, knock on wood, can always determine a season too. Do you guys think, real quick, do you think there will be any sort of movement to bring in that DH to kind of add that home run pop? Because I feel like having that threat from another person, especially in that DH cleanup role, with how this team plays baseball the right way and plays small ball, having that home run punch a little bit as well to add in, I think would just take this team a lot further. And we saw how crucial home runs still are in the new age of baseball in the Yankee series. Will this team, early prediction now, we'll revisit this as the offseason goes on, Jay. Your thoughts as of right now, first instinct, Guardians buy a bat, yes or no?
The one I want, no. Will they get someone? Yeah. They never really get the guy I want, though. They're not going to spend that much for guys like that we want, but I hopefully get someone that's pretty productive. If not, they do have some awesome prospects that they could still call up. Like, what if Bo Naylor does what he's supposed to do and he's catching for us?
Yeah.
That's a huge boost in the offense, man.
Yeah, and you still have, for some reason the name is escaping me right now, but there are still a couple prospects down in the minors that, are kind of have that home run pop, have that spectacular baseball player element to them. But I think that there's just going to be more players that do what this team does. Like all of their prospects, all of their minor league teams, they do the same thing. They're trying to continue to bring that culture all the way through the minor leagues. So when you get up to the big leagues, these guys weren't Oscar Gonzalez, Stephen Kwan, Gabriel Arias, Richie Palacios, who was a great pinch hitter for this team this year. These young guys that made their debut, they weren't deer in the headlights until the lights became brightest in New York. I think we did see that element, but that's to be expected and not to be too far criticized. But most of the year, there's a big gap between AAA and the big leagues. These guys didn't play like it because their expectations of them coming through the minor leagues is the same as when you get with Terry Francona. And it is so great, like you said, Peter, to see Terry say, you know what, I'm coming back for another year because this young team energized him, gave him some youthful energy as well. I had a feeling he was going to say that, but you would have understood if he stepped away because of thinking about his health and how long he's done this. Boy, one more year with Terry and this team. They play for him. They all play for each other. I'm excited for March and April.